Christians may well be the most persecuted religious group on the planet. They number some 2.2 billion people, and harassment can range from loss of life to loss of livelihood.
Including discrimination, you're talking 600, 700 million Christians.
In about two-thirds of the world, Christians of one stripe or another face some sort of harassment.
It goes back to the time of Jesus and his disciples, but is increasing rapidly in this new century.
Christians in innumerable countries are under huge amounts of pressure, either from the government or from the societies in which they find themselves.
Throughout the 20th century, communist countries caused the most problems for Christians. Today, however, the fear and harassment is shifting to the Muslim world. Open Doors USA tracks this persecution and puts out a watch list every January of the worst offenders. Open Doors President Carl Muller says in this year's top 10,
8 of those are Islamic countries.
Iraq jumped into the top 10 this year because of many recent brutal attacks, like the massacre of 58 Christians in a Baghdad church this past October.
The level of brutality is almost unbelievable.
We're actually labeling it a religious side, as extremists there want to exterminate all Christians from the country of Iraq.
Muslim extremists in Pakistan have been killing Christians at an increasing rate for what they call blasphemy against Islam and the Prophet Muhammad.
Christians are being accused of blaspheming Islam by converting from Islam to Christianity.
This violence is even happening in Muslim countries that were seen as more secular.
Christians have started to be killed on religious grounds in Turkey. That's new.
How do Muslims justify this hatred against Christians?
They're infidels. They're unbelievers in what is a Muslim land.
There is still plenty of persecution outside the Muslim world, like in China and India. But for good reason, North Korea has headed up Open Doors' watch list for 9 years in a row now.
If you're caught as a Christian in North Korea, say simply leading a Bible study or even owning a Bible, you can be thrown into a labor camp that is exactly like the old Soviet Union's gulag, where people are literally worked to death.
What's surprising is how little you hear about this here in the West, in the very countries that were founded as Christian nations and contain huge Christian majorities. Some blame it on the elites that control the media and educational institutions. Elites that can only imagine Christians as persecutors, not victims.
We've had elite universities basically teaching their undergraduates that the only villains in history who oppressed others for religious reasons were the Christians.
Marshall says these elites, both here and in Europe, are often openly hostile towards the faith.
Europeans who can otherwise be laid back, they get very angry about Christians.
There's really an unwillingness to accept the fact that Christians have become an endangered species in some countries of the world.
For many secular types in the media and elites,
religion awakens, touches on areas they're uncomfortable with, so they just want it to go away. For them, it's like the fingernails on the blackboard.
As for the U.S. government, Aikman worries the Obama administration, or at least Obama himself,
has not been nearly as articulate and forceful on religious freedom issues as President Bush.
The problem is that can have real and deadly consequences.
Many countries that were contemplating some kind of crackdown on Christians think, well, it doesn't really matter. The U.S. is not going to say anything. They're not going to complain, so let's go ahead and make life harder for our Christian minorities.
It can result in imprisonment, torture, and even martyrdom for the cause of Jesus Christ.
Paul Strand, CBN News.